Hi guys, and welcome to my review of Alien Romulus. This was a movie that I was, but going into it, or when it was announced, I had a lot of hype for, not just because of how much of a big Alien fan I am, but also because Fede Alvarez was attached to be the director of this. He is a guy who is most well known for doing the Evil Dead remake, so I was really intrigued I was really a big fan of what he had done with that. So I was really intrigued to see what he would kind of bring to this movie and bring to this franchise. And essentially, we get this story that's set somewhere between the events of Alien and Aliens. The story essentially is following this group of space colonists on the planet of LV-410. They essentially looking to escape the the ruling, I guess, of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. This basically causes them to end up scavenging this derelict space station for supplies as they hatch this plan to go on this 9-year journey to this other planet where they can kind of escape all that and hopefully seek out a better life for themselves. So, starting off with the positives of this, I absolutely love the fact that this movie essentially ends up being a love letter to the Alien franchise. There is an aspect of it where I feel a bit more mixed on, and I'll get onto that in due course. But for the most part, I absolutely love how this movie goes to just delivering what the fans want from an Alien movie. We get all of these nice little throwbacks and these nice little Easter eggy moments that reach beyond just the films as well. We have all of these nice little moments. Anyone who's played some of the video games, Alien Isolation in particular, like I have, you'll pick up on these nice little like Easter eggy moments. We get nods to some of the comic books in here. I don't know. I hadn't gone that far. I hadn't read any of the comics, so I don't know. But just kind of going off of what some people have said. So yeah, there's a lot in here to really enjoy, and there's a lot in here that as an Alien fan will just have you smiling. I really like some of the new designs it does. There's a sequence involving the facehuggers where basically our crew of space colonists are being attacked by the facehuggers, and the sequence essentially crescendos with one of the space colonists with just kind of we think has just got to safety. It just made it, and just with a last second with a shut of the doors, a face hugger just attaches itself, and it's just so good. It's so thrilling. One of the most standout sequences in this film is, which has been commented on quite a lot, is there's a scene where they essentially hatch this plan to put the ship into zero gravity in order to get the upper hand of these xenomorphs, and we have our protagonist, Rain, played by Kaylee Spaney here. She essentially hatches a plan to put the Xenomorphs into, or to put the entire ship, should I say, into zero gravity, and then this just allows her to kind of get the upper hand of these Xenomorphs and just blow them to smithereens. And as she just basically opens fire and goes totally gun ho on these Xenomorphs, and you see all of the acid blood splatter everywhere. The penny finally drops with our protagonist, as she now realizes that we're in zero gravity, so now she kind of like has to find a way to kind of navigate herself through all of these splatters of the alien acid blood, because if she just turns the zero gravity back off, and the acid will just fall on the floor and just burn a hole straight through the ship. So really cool sequence, really innovative idea, I think. I think that of the cast that we have here, I think Kaylee Spaney as our protagonist Rain is a standout, but I think the biggest standout has to go to her synthetic counterparts. Andy here, played by David Johnson, who just does a phenomenal job. I think that an element of that is because for a synthetic character, Andy becomes a really complex character, because on the one hand, he's basically programmed with his primary objective of protecting Rain, but at the same time, he ends up getting reprogrammed to also preserve this xenomorph specimen, to bring it back, and have him behave much similar to how we've kind of come to expect synthetics to be in this franchise and directive. So it gives a lot of complexity, quite a lot of layers to this, and it allows a character to kind of change on the dime. And I think David Johnson plays this fantastically. Moving on to more of the mixed categories here. We do basically we will just basically kind of get it out of the way now. One of the most controversial parts of this was that it uses the special AI to regenerate the late actor Ian Holm, who had sadly passed away prior to this movie. The fact that they did this didn't bother me in the sense of any sort of disrespect or anything. Fede Alvarez had already said that he had consulted with Ian Holm's family prior to this decision, and they had basically given their blessing for it. So that's cool. That's none of my business. But just on a technical level, yeah, we are at this point where AI, as advanced as that's become, it hasn't quite got there yet. We haven't quite got there, and hopefully we never do. But we haven't quite got there to basically we haven't got to a point where CGI is able to fully replicate another human and get it quite right. So for that reason, there's the scene where our space colonists encounter this. It isn't Ash from the original movie, but it essentially as same model as Ash. That's basically how how we end up exercising this, and it's I do think that on the technical level, it would have benefited maybe with a bit more kind of like dim lighting and stuff like that. I think it would have kind of worked better. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. It didn't bother me as much as a lot of people did. I know that a lot of people had a big issue with this. Um, it didn't bother me, but it was a one moment of effects that just kind of like maybe just missed the mark a little bit, especially because one of the other positives I can give this movie is that its use of practical effects and the effectiveness of that. I really like that. So this was the one moment where they kind of maybe used the effects in not in necessarily in kind of maybe the best way or the most effective way. Like I said, it is what it is. It didn't really affect my enjoyment of the film in any way. Yeah, like I said, it didn't bother me as much as it did a lot of people. But yeah, it's and that's it. So we as and another aspect on the mixed here is, like I said, this movie essentially serves as a love letter to the Alien franchise. And while I think that largely works, I think that it serves the purpose of just putting a big smile on any Alien fans' face. And I don't think that necessarily it's for the most part, it's not too on the nose, like I said, because the little nods and homages that we get kind of go beyond the films. We go into obviously the video games and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like subtle enough for the regular, more casual Alien fan who are just kind of like have only real experience with this is the films. Some of us are very subtle enough that they don't sort of seem really kind of on the nose. So for the most part, I think it works. There are the odd moments though where it does feel a little bit heavy-handed. It does feel a little bit on the nose, and it does make it kind of cause this little disconnect between this and the other films in this franchise, where it does maybe feel more like fan fiction rather than another installment in this franchise. And I say that just because that there's no other film in this franchise that's kind of doing that. That's never. It's always, or every other film in this franchise is kind of like doing its own thing for better or worse. And we all acknowledge how great Alien and Aliens is, but none of the other films are kind of stopping to kind of give those throwbacks and go, hey, remember how great these were? Because so this does make it stand out and feel a bit of an anomaly in the franchise, and it does make it feel a bit more fan fiction. Like I said, it's not like I said, for the most part, I think it gets away with it. But there is one particular scene that really bugged the hell out of me nearly the end, where we have a character of Andy deliver the line from Aliens, "Get away from her, you bitch," and it just didn't work for me. It's one of those where we see it quite a lot in all of these kind of like little throwback sequels where we basically just have this character say this classic line and it's just expected to get this big pop, but it doesn't make any sense, because for one, that the events of Aliens haven't happened within this timeline yet, but also more to the point, it obviously when Ripley delivers this line at the end of Aliens, It's obviously a very emotionally charged thing. And so the fact that this is kind of here coming from a synthetic just doesn't work. And the fact that this synthetic isn't meant to display emotion means that the delivery of this has to be really quite monotone as well. And it doesn't sort of, and yeah, it just falls flat. It doesn't create this pop. It just feels really forced and ends up just falling really flat. So this was a main little throwback that they do that just did not work for me. And then so then moving on to the negatives. I only really have one major negative one that I really didn't like, and that is essentially the finale that we get here. So, at the beginning of the movie, when we are introduced to our space colonists, we have one of the colonists who is pregnant. This essentially creates this little dark sense of foreboding with them being pregnant within the environment of an alien film. We kind of have this foreboding that it's all kind of going to go south. Um, um, and for the involving babies in within horror has become a bit more of a sensibility to me. Maybe it's becoming a parent myself, but but yeah, we basically end up following this through to a finale where we essentially end up the mother ends up giving birth to this baby, which is now just this human alien hybrid. And it's not the first time that all this human alien hybrid stuff has been done in the franchise, but I've never really been a fan of it before in this franchise, and I'm just not really a fan of it here. When it kind of happens with the design of the alien and human hybrid, we essentially have this hybrid that has a body of a xenomorph, but its head is very reminiscent of the engineers that we got in Prometheus. So we've got another throwback there, and it just wasn't a design that I liked. It just didn't work for me on any level. The only real positives that we got, it did lead to this real effective jump scare right at the end, which I thought was effective. It's rare that a jump scare I find it's rare for me to find a jump scare in horror to be effective, but this one really got me. So that's a one little plus that I will give it. But yeah, on the whole, guys, I didn't like the injection of this idea. I didn't like this finale a great deal. But that's the only real criticism I have. So yeah, on the whole, guys, like I said, this movie essentially just serves as a love letter to the Alien franchise. It aims to really deliver what an Alien fan wants out of an Alien film, and it did that. And me being a big Alien fan myself, this movie puts a smile on my face. So yeah, that basically concludes my review of this film. So thank you guys for checking this out. If you enjoyed this video, you want to see more, don't forget to ring a bell for notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will be reviewing all of the Alien films here. I will be reviewing all of the Predator films here, and then when I'm done, I'll basically be bringing all of these these two franchises together for one last face-off as I rank all of the Alien Predator films together from the worst to the best, and you will be able to find a link to that AVP playlist down in the descriptions. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and until next time, I will see you guys on the next video. You guys take care.